Hi everyone, this is a shot of my studio. I'm showing you this because I'm going to take some pictures of some paper textures that I want to include in my work. So I've got on my desk easel a piece of Arches Watercolour Paper, cracking texture. So I'm going to take some pictures of that and see if I can use it in my paintings, obviously digital paintings. So a bit of an experiment, we'll see how we go. But I thought while I was doing it, I'd just give you a quick look at what it's like where I work. And as you can see, I'm not the most tidiest person in the world. That's my easel tripod that I put the camera on, and that's where I sit to do my drawings for the Inktober and the 712 things to draw that I do. There's my PC where I make all the videos and scan images in. I've got a few prints of works that I've done. That one is from Download last year. Download's a rock festival in Castle Donington. I was there with a few friends. There's me playing the bass guitar and one or two other pieces. The butterfly thing with all the bugs at the bottom. I've got that on YouTube if you want to check that out. And then there's my philosopher friend at the top. There's a video, not of that actual drawing, but of another drawing that you might want to check out. So yeah, that's it. This side of the room is where I work and generally make a mess, and then the other side of the room, it suddenly changes into my music area. I'm in a band and I jam in here sometimes with a couple of mates. That's my bass rig. I'm a bass player. Some of my guitars, 12-string acoustic, a few basses, really cheap bass I bought that I was gonna renovate, and I've never got round to it. And then I've got about 10 other bass guitars lying around the house, and some of them are here, all boxed up. There's my bass rig when we go out gigging, a DVD collection and stuff. So this is I guess it's my man cave, really. So anyway, this is what I'm concentrating on. This piece of Arches that I'm going to try and photograph. I'm going to move the tripod out of the way and get rid of all those shadows and things and see what we come up with. So hopefully I'll see you later. So here's the photo I took. As you can see, it's not too clever. It needs a little bit of work. There is a sort of graduated shadow over the paper. So I'm going to use Affinity Photo to tidy that up before I import it into my drawing app. And obviously it needs cropping as well. So I'm going to move over into Affinity Photo now. Right, here we are in Affinity Photo. I have already imported the image. I begin by adjusting the levels, and I use the slider to make the image brighter. And then I crop it, and you notice I crop away in the top right. There's a bit of a shadow, so I cut that out of it, and I just make sure that I've got an area with no obvious creases or things in. At that stage, I then merge the levels or adjustments I've made down into one layer. I create another layer. And then once I've done that, I flip it horizontally and vertically. I select that from the Arrange tab. And the reason, if you look at it closely, there is a darker patch at the top right and it goes to lower left. So what I do, I flip it so it's sort of mirrored. And then I change that mode to multiply to get a much more even effect. I then blend that down, or merge the two layers together. And once I've done that, I can just use the clone tool to take out any marks that were on the paper. I I struggled a little bit. I kept getting light areas, but eventually I managed to pick an area where the colours and everything were very similar, just to get off any sort of minor blemishes that were on the paper. And then once I had done that, I went to export, and I exported the images. I'm still struggling there, removing blemishes. But once I was ready, I checked that I liked the texture and everything. I resized it actually, and I made it 24 inches by 36 inch, because I do paint on that size a lot of the time. It's probably a bit overkill, but it does give me a really large image to use within my paintings, up to 36 by 24, which is roughly a full imperial sheet of paper. I exported it as a PNG, so I didn't lose any detail. And then once I'd done that, I desaturated it as well and exported it again. So I actually created two exports, one that kept the colour of the paper and one that converted it to a grayscale, because I wasn't really sure which is going to be most suitable. I suspect I'm going to be using the one with the colour of the Arches paper to give it a more natural feel. So I put that into a folder that I've created specifically for this. I think I've called it Source. Yeah, there we go, Source. And I named it Arches because it's Arches paper, 36 by 24, and that's the natural one which I exported first. So there it is, exporting now. I suppose I could speed this up slightly. Once I'd done that, I go to adjustments, and not 100% familiar with Photo Affinity yet, so I was sort of looking around the best way to do it, and I chose HSL adjust. I think eventually I did scroll around looking in different options to see if there was an obvious way of doing it, and the HSL adjustment, I don't know what HSL stands for. I just knocked the luminosity, or sorry, the saturation right off to create a black and white image, and then I go away and export that again as a black and white version, the same size. So I would suggest that if you use this in your paintings, because I'm thinking of making this available for people to download. Let me know if you would be interested in getting a copy of this file or any other papers that I do. I'm quite happy to make them available. But what I was going to say was, it is a really large file, so you could crop it to suit the picture that you're working with, so you get a texture which is appropriate to the size of painting. It's to scale to the size of painting that you want to do. So I export that, and then we're into importing into Procreate. So I'm now in Procreate. I begin by creating an image, 36 by 24. I go to my insert a file. I've discovered that if you choose insert a file, you can import files off the cloud. So I've got a source photos file there, and I import the natural one. It's quite a big file, so it does take a few seconds to download. And then I proved how incompetent I am at using gestures to move things around, and I'm fiddling with this, which seems like forever to get it onto the paper. I just move it slightly, then there'll be a little white area, and I'd move it another way and there'll be another white area. So eventually I do get it where I want, and I do mean it takes quite a while for me. I'm just seem to be fiddling forever with that. There we go. But I missed a bit at the top, so I have to select it again and resize it. And I didn't just stretch it, I did actually enlarge it to keep the sort of aspect ratio right. And then I went into layers. I created a new layer. I moved that below layer 1, which has got the image in it. I renamed that. Again, I seem to be in slow motion mode, and I call this paper texture. Seems quite appropriate. And I changed the mode to multiply. Now, I used the multiply mode here for a demo, but I've messed about with it since I made this video, and I might think I use I think it's called linear burn. I'm not sure. I'll put that at top of the video which one I used, which I preferred. But anyway, I've made a few brushes as well. I've been messing about with watercolor brushes, so I thought I'd try those out just to see if I can get a watercolor effect with this paper. So I just put a little bit of colour on there using my new brush. It's a bit unusual because the more pressure you put on, the larger the brush becomes. I don't suppose that is unusual, really. That's quite normal, but it's unusual that it becomes really quite a lot bigger rather than a subtle change in size. It is quite huge, and the idea is I've tried to. I actually took a photo of a watercolor. I wet some paper and blobbed some colour on that and took a picture of that to make the texture, to give the idea of wet on wet. I also made a second brush that I use for lifting out colour. So I've set it onto the eraser, and the idea is you're using a wet brush to put it through paint and lift out the colour. I thought that was quite effective. So all in all, I'm quite happy with the paper. That looks very realistic. I'm liking my brushes. So, thanks a lot for watching this video and staying with me till the end. I hope you've liked it, and if you have, a big thumbs up's always appreciated. Helps me out a lot. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe, because I've got lots more videos, including a painting that I'm going to do using these paper and brushes. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye!